welcome to the Plug Into Your Life podcast. I have Jana in the house. We are just excited to discuss transformation and all kinds of different spiritual topics. We have an author here and entrepreneur and has done all kinds of incredible things. So I'm excited to have you on here, Jana.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
All
Looking
right.
forward to this.
So right before this, we kind of touched on that your life used to be way different than it was after some probably spiritual experiences. We'd love to dive in right there and just see what were things like and then what happened.
And what happened, right? The Big Bang, everything happened, everything changed. So my life was probably pretty traditional, went to school, went to college, got married, started having kids and, had a career and stuff and thought I had done everything right. And it just felt like there was something missing. And it was around 1996, 1997 that I had quit my job. I had 2 toddlers at that point, or 1 at that point, but I was just kind of looking at life and going, is this it? Is this all I'm doing? And it just felt like there was a gap and I couldn't figure out what that gap was. And I was frustrated. I was on the cusp of divorce. I was very unhappy. And I started searching for answers. And I find that curiosity is such a powerful tool because it kind of opens this door to, well, what about this? So there's, before I might have had a very linear thought process of I need to do X, Y, and Z, but I started to explore and go, okay, well, what does this look like if I do things differently? Because we kind of learn from other people what we think life should be like, right? And we kind of follow in their footsteps. But that wasn't me. It was me for a while, and then it wasn't me. Yeah. And in 1996, 1997, that curiosity just really got to me. And I met a gal through one of the businesses that I was doing, and we ended up connecting that weekend. And she started talking to me about this thing called energy work. And she was doing this thing called muscle testing. And I was hooked, right? Like I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. My body knows what the right answer is. Yeah. I mean, like really crazy stuff. And I was thinking, wow, what are the possibilities with this? And we were in Dallas at the time at an event. And when I got back home, I went to the energy practitioner that she had been going to and then learning this from. And I started taking classes. And you want to talk about being obsessed? I feel like I dove down the rabbit hole so fast and so far that this entire new world opened up to me. I couldn't get enough books to read. I couldn't get enough information to learn. I was just obsessed with this whole thing called energy work and how it was impacting my life. So that sort of launched me into this whole realm of energy work and meditation and healing and all of these other things. And now looking back, 24-ish years, it's like, wow, I'm a completely different person than I was back then. Thoughts are different, behavior's different, beliefs are different, like everything has completely changed. So it's been a wild ride, an interesting ride, and it definitely filled the gap that I was looking for.
And I just love to chime in when people bring up like energy work and stuff like that. So if anyone's listening, you're not familiar with those things, I mean, a simple Google search will unveil all kinds of cool stuff. But I like to mention, like, in science class, we learned that everything is moving. Even your table, it has little molecules and atoms and whatever that's vibrating. And when that happens, you learn in science that actually everything is energy. It's just moving, and it's either organized in a tight structure or a loose structure, but it's all energetically connected. And so when you talk about energy work, you're literally talking about manipulating that energy in some way, or I feel like your intention on something is energy.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
And yeah, so I think, and I also like to bring up, like, when you walk into a room and there's someone fighting with someone, right? And all of a sudden they stop talking, you didn't hear anything, nothing's happening at this moment, but when you walk in, you can feel that energy. That's energy.
Right? You could cut it with a knife. It's so thick and heavy.
Yeah. And
And yet
same
there's
thing with
nothing
love.
tangible, right? It's not like you can tangibly see any energy,
Yes.
but you feel
yes.
it.
That's
Yes.
energy. Yeah. All right. And I've had a similar experience, and I can't get enough of this stuff. So yes, I love it.
Right? It becomes an obsession. It's
Yeah.
like, wow, this whole new world is opening up. I didn't even know about.
Yeah. Did you feel like everything else in life, you kind of had a ceiling or a floor, but like with
Yes.
the spiritual things or energy or whatever, all that stuff, it just feels like you can go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. It just gets better and better. Like, it never ends. It's so great.
You're right. I know the word endless was coming up. It's just
Yeah.
perpetual. It's endless. There's so much we can do to continuously heal ourselves
Yeah.
and support each other and the planet and everything else. So it just sort of cascades into so many different parts of our lives.
Yeah, so what kind of experiences did you start having doing energy work? Now you learned it and you started practicing.
Started practicing, and it was still, it's always awkward when you do something new. There's always that, oh, I want to do this faster, or I want it to be
Yeah.
perfect. But it's like you're straddling these two worlds. And for a long time, it felt that way. I was straddling old belief systems, and what do I do with those, right? You have certain things that you're raised with your family or thought processes or just the way that you believe, and all of a sudden it's like, well, but there's all this new stuff that I'm exploring, and what are the possibilities with that? And there was still sort of this element of skepticism, right? Like,
Yep.
is this really true?
Yeah.
Does this really work? Some of those questions that, I mean, I think it's good to have skepticism because it keeps us on our toes in exploring and not taking someone else's perspective or their, whatever they're teaching or doing at face value. But we internalize it by discovering for ourselves, hey, this stuff works. And so I started playing with it in simple ways like, okay, well, if this energy work stuff is real, then I want a front row parking place, or, I want nobody in the line at the post office when I go today, or, just whatever it was, or a new line opens up at the grocery store when it's busy. So I just started playing with energy work and just kind of testing it. I'm sure it's like, oh, she's testing us again, right? But I was just really curious if it was legitimate, if it was real, if it was something that, is it something that I could do? Because that was another big thing. It's like, well, maybe other people can do it, but can I really do it?
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of sort of testing the waters to see, does this stuff really work?
Yeah. And I like to tell people, like, don't take my word for it. Go experiment with this stuff, and I think that little spark inside of me happened when, like, the first thing appeared in my life that I knew was a direct result of something I was doing, and it's like, oh, wow, this works. Let's try it again. Did it really work? It's like,
I know, right? So it's like, okay, maybe that was a fluke.
Yeah.
Let me try it again.
Yeah.
And then it becomes sort of going back to that curiosity. It's like, well, what else can I do with it?
Yeah.
Right.
So
and
powerful.
I always came back to this. Well, I want to manifest I always saw myself having this big, bold life. How do I manifest that? And so I'd start playing with it and put stuff on vision boards and, go through different energy techniques to heal any beliefs of not being enough or worthy for it, or is that too. In fact, I put something on a vision board and we were in a vision board class and the gal said, oh, I love that. I can totally see you having that, but that's so audacious for me. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting. I didn't even consider that as being something that was just out of this world. So, it goes back to our belief systems. Is that something we really believe we can have? Because that plays into it.
Yeah. And, when you really look at beliefs and routines and habits, and I remember like thinking when I was a kid, like, well, when I grew up a little bit, but like looking at my life and I'm like, okay, well, I believe these things and I go to church and I do all these different things that I'm told to do. And I start adopting an agreement basically of my culture. But how am I right? But then someone across the world that has different beliefs, different habits, routines, and culture, how are they wrong? Like, how does anybody really know who's right? And then I'm just like thinking like, well, maybe I don't have to buy into all of these beliefs and I just want my own experience. And I remember like that like transition into I want to know the truth and I don't want to hear it from anyone else. Like I want to feel this thing that everyone's talking about, this God, this, this creative intelligence, like
And you brought up a really good point, the word truth, right? Because we have our version of truth. And like you said, you follow the rules and you do what you think is the truth. And it is a version of the truth, but is it really your truth? And is it your higher self's truth? Because when we start asking those types of questions, then we actually start questioning our own beliefs and our own thoughts and our own habits. And that to me is where you start unlocking magical doors because you are curious about what else is out there.
Yeah. All right. Very cool. So, and that led you into, you started doing it and being more confident. How did that progress for you?
Yeah, so I actually ended up becoming a certified energy healer. And, I still had doubts in myself, even in that process. As I would work with clients, I would wonder, am I doing it right? And I literally had to get to a point where I realized that I was a conduit for this energy to work through. And in me surrendering to that process, it really opened up gateways to, having a lot more flexibility, more confidence in myself. I mean, we build confidence through practice, right? And through doing things and getting successes and hearing back from people that it's working and those types of things. So, it took me a while of building that confidence in myself and hearing back from other people to really feel like, okay, I'm making a difference in people's lives with what services I'm providing for them and teaching them.
Gosh, you bring up such a good point. I mean, I too got into energy work and I don't know what modality you got certified in, but I did Reiki and then some other options as well. And I remember when I first started doing it, I'm like, I know there's something happening, but I don't feel anything. It's not like a crazy, like, electric shock or something. But I remember like getting out of the session and I'm like looking at them like, okay, like, how was it? They're like,
Are
oh
you
my God.
changed yet?
Yeah. They're like crying or like, they said they felt this heat and like the pain went away. And like, I'm like, really?
I know, right? There's that element of skepticism again. Like, did I really do that?
I'm like, okay, I trust that this energy is around us and through us and it's working as a conduit, like you said. And I'm just this, tool that it's using. And I feel like anybody can tune into that. It's just a matter of
Absolutely.
really clearing out those beliefs and that stuff that you talked about. Yeah, very
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, I believe that too. That's one of my passions, is teaching people that they have the ability to heal themselves. And I realize there are times that I still call upon practitioners to say, okay, this is what's going on with you. And then I can kind of confirm it. Because as a healer, we can't always see our own stuff, right? Where it's a part of who we are and we don't realize until someone can point something out. And that's one of the beautiful things about having somebody who can facilitate. But there are so many tools out there to help you understand, first of all, how to be aware of your energy, how to manage it, how to cleanse it, how to clear other people's energy from you. All of these factors that we have a lot more control with our physical and energetic bodies than most people even realize.
Yeah, really, really crazy. I mean, it's so crazy. Like, I think the word placebo and like there's a science term called the observer effect. And like there's all these like known facts about how you can take a sugar pill and have a physical change in your body based on believing you're taking a real substance. But when it comes to you have the power to heal yourself, no. You know what I mean? It's like,
I know, it's crazy. And you know that a lot of scientists will actually throw out the placebo effect results because it's not scientifically based. Yeah. So when I read that, I was like, that makes sense. It's like they don't have a basis for it. For some reason, these people just spontaneously healed when they shouldn't have. And so they will often discount that because it is outside the realm of what they are trying to study or get results on, which I find fascinating.
very fascinating.
Yes.
So intense. I feel like there is a shift happening. You know, technology has made it available to so many people that, you know, you almost have to be ignorant in your own life to not, you know, if you hear something like just a few Google searches will show you like there's a lot of information about this.
Pages of energy work and tools and modalities. And yeah, it's crazy how much information is out there. So different than where I was 20 some odd years ago.
Yeah. And I feel like the biggest obstacle is our own beliefs and our own thinking, you know, this mind, you know, and to break out of the cycle of those routines and habits that we've trained our bodies to be in takes work. It can. I don't want to even try to believe that, but
no, yeah, but you're right. I mean, if you think of the brain, it is anything that we learn, we're sending those neurons in pathways like the Grand Canyon, right? So you've got this Grand Canyon and the neurons are firing down that same Grand Canyon because that's when things become easy to us, like learning to walk, right? Like we don't even think about, oh, I need to stand up and walk versus when you're a 1-year-old, it's like, okay, how do I do this? And so now all of a sudden it's like, well, I need to think differently. And so instead of going down that Grand Canyon, now we've got to veer in this other direction that, you know, has no pathway to it, right? Like water follows the path of least resistance. Well, that's going to be the Grand Canyon. So now it's got to be that mindfulness of, oh, wait, there's that energy stuff that I kind of want to play with here and shift my pattern, right? And so you're right, it's that neuroplasticity that we need to shift and be mindful about to actually get to that place of, okay, I'm mindfully creating a new habit, and that's becomes your new reality.
Yeah, and I think being aware that it can take 4 to 6 weeks to create a new habit. You know, a lot of people quit after a couple of weeks, but just keep going, you know, like set littler goals if you need to. But those little baby steps, eventually you're waking up and you're just doing it, you know. Yeah.
Exactly. Becomes automatic. Yes.
Automatic. Yeah, the autonomic nervous system will kick in. It's like driving a car. You're so nervous and you're sweating and you want to quit after like a week, you know. But once you keep going and your body becomes the mind, now it's just automatic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Great point.
So now you're helping people and you're coaching, you've wrote some books. Dive into some of those topics. How did you end up getting into that and start helping people? I assume it was through practicing some energy work.
Yes, definitely. So my first book was really interesting because shortly after I got into the whole energy work thing, I ended up getting divorced, and my husband wasn't paying child support or alimony, and I had lost everything financially. Like his entire business was in my name and he defaulted on everything. So here I am with 2 toddlers, no money, no resources. And I got inspired to write a book to help people heal. And the book comes out, I'm literally driving to the publisher and I'm wondering why no one is on the street. This is on 9/11 of 2001. I had no idea what was going on. I was thinking, is there a holiday today? Something going on? I get to the publisher, the TVs are on, and the Twin Towers have been hit. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is kind of interesting timing because this book is about helping people open their hearts, helping them to heal. And I thought, wow, this is kind of a cool timing for all of this. Maybe this book is going to be something that's really important. Well, that wasn't the case. It
Okay.
really, it didn't do much.
Mm.
Back then I had to buy thousands of copies of the book. I probably sold a few dozen of them. And, the book really didn't do anything. But what it did do is it opened a door to help me realize that I had a message. And since I've been a teenager, I knew that my passion was helping people get to a better place. I was an athletic instructor for 13 years. I've been doing it physically. Now I was doing it energetically. And so I started teaching some courses. I started doing coaching, various things just to, kind of figure out what my mix was. What was I going to provide people to support them with their growth and healing journey? Now, mind you, I'm also a tax accountant. So while all of this is going on, I'm really mastering the energy of money. So as the tax accountant side, I'm really practical about money and business. And then there's this energetic side of money because money is energy too, right? So I started teaching courses on the energy of money as well as the practical elements to help people attract more money to them. Because I thought if they had more money and they're able to create the life they want, they're going to create some sort of healing because they want more money, right? So it's that law of attraction type stuff. And I've been teaching that course for over 12 years. It's actually a new book that will be coming out, not the latest one, but one that will come out in the next year or so. And, so I just started playing with all these different systems to figure out what is going to be my impact, what is going to help the most people to transform their personal lives and ultimately just upgrade humanity in general. And so that's been my passion for the past 25 years.
Yeah, and I think that shift is happening. And I think the more people we have in this space, the better, because there's billions of people. And, having like, I look at it like, each person has their own personality and their own energy. And that person attracts a different crowd than the next person. When I had a business,
Exactly.
I used to think that there was all this competition in town. And my coach was like, no one's hiring them that likes you, like,
Right.
and vice versa. So yeah, having more people, yeah, it's so important right now. And I can feel this shift happening. I do feel like people are tired of being fearful and scared. And even this war right now, heaven forbid, it keeps going. But, I feel like this sense of like, really, like everyone is just like tired of war and tired of like this fear and stuff that's going on. So
That's a great point because we have this division of the old energy and the old way that we used to do things. And I'm going to call it masculine energy because we've been in this masculine conquering type energy for thousands of years. And you're right, the pendulum has swung. And now we're into a place of, we don't need to beat people over the head to everybody to have abundance, right? But in the past, it was like, oh, they've got more gold than we do, or whatever the resources are. And so, yeah, we are opening up and people are saying, that's unacceptable. We're all humans. We need to be treated fairly and with rights and, everything else. And yet there still are these old paradigms that are falling away. So the sooner it can happen, the better for all of us.
yeah, and Janet, like when you look back at your divorce, I myself too, it's kind of ironic. I got into energy work and all of a sudden my whole life fell apart. And I'm just curious, like,
okay, wait. We have to
oh,
do a disclaimer there because we have to say your life, it doesn't mean you're going to get divorced if you go into energy.
yeah. Yes.
Life
When
will
things don't
change, right?
align, yes, when things do not align,
Yes.
things will come together or fall apart, whichever.
So true.
Yeah. So, but I think a lot of people that they go through a tough time or they're in the tough time, maybe right now, I think it can, you have like these blinders on, or you don't see a different perspective on things. But like you yourself, like I see like this incredible woman that's accomplished all these things. But when you listen to your story, it's like, oh, well, she has no reason to have done anything. Like there's no There's no way she should be able to do these things. And like, there's this like energy around an event in your life. And I think some people get trapped in that. But
That's
instead
so
of that,
true.
yeah, just like looking through a different lens of like, okay, be curious, what's going on right now? Where, what direction am I going? Maybe reach out to somebody. And I think having somebody, even like yourself, to help people through some of those challenging times and say, look, there's a different way to look at this. Let's take a look. And, for you, do you see yourself like seeing like that was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me type of thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
It was so transformative, and I love my life now. I love who I have become through this entire process. And I feel, in the past, I think I felt somewhat victimized by circumstances, belief systems, the way things were going. And now I feel very empowered with my life. I feel like I have control over what I want to do. I feel that I can manifest pretty much anything that I want. It may not happen in my time frame, but eventually it does come about. And I've even seen the pandemic and just the transformation that that has created for people in shifting their mindset about, I've been in this rat race, right? Because we all buy into it. Like, we go to school, we do what we're supposed to do, we get the job, we have the family, we're doing all the stuff. And then we start looking at our lives and we go, well, there's something missing. And the beautiful thing is, there's so much access to great information, podcasts, videos, webinars, apps, you name it. There are so many people that are providing incredible information that support us in feeding our soul. And I think that's what this all comes down to is we've learned how to feed our minds and feed our bodies, but we haven't really been taught how to feed our soul. And that's where energy work to me is the magic. It's sort of like it fills the gap of how is my soul getting fed and me feeling satisfied with my life.
Good point. Yeah. I feel like the mind, body, soul is talked about a lot, but I feel like we have so many things around the mind and the body, but what's going on with your soul? Yeah.
Yeah. And the disconnect, right? And so even with the energy work that I'm doing, it's like people don't always recognize the correlation between emotions and their physical issues or ailments. And there may be some physical issues that don't relate to emotions, but if you look at like the digestive system, that's something that I always had problems with. And if you think about it, it's not necessarily just digesting the food, but how am I digesting life? Because if I'm not really liking my life, then how is that causing that indigestion? And so when you start looking at the physical body as a representation of what's taking place emotionally, then it just opens this whole other world of, wow, yeah, maybe I am feeling unsupported in some capacity, or, I'm facing these challenges. And so I'm having difficulty processing life.
Mm.
And that to me is where I started making the connection between the physical and emotional body, and then the spiritual body kind of came after that. Because it's sort of like, okay, if I address these two, now how am I feeding my soul? And that's where energy work and meditation and, feeding my mind with positivity made such a difference.
Yeah. I went through that where I just started looking at everything I was listening to, talking to people I was around, and I just couldn't get enough of like positive thinking and like, changing the way I'm inputting energy into me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
energy in, energy out, right?
Yeah. And I think you brought up a good point too. Like, people don't realize that emotions are energy in motion. And when you hold on to an emotion, it's not moving. It's stuck in your body somewhere. And yeah, it manifests itself as some type of dis-ease, dysregulation, or it sends a pattern. It's I show this one example of like the soundboard where you turn up and down frequency and the sand will turn into different patterns.
That's so cool. I love that.
Right. But
Yes.
your thinking and your emotions are giving a pattern to your body. And so when
Right.
you bring down that frequency into a negative pattern, you're inputting a negative pattern onto your body, and it's turning into some type of disease or discomfort or yeah. So
Well, and then the one step beyond that is now we're attracting at whatever that vibration we are
yeah.
projecting. And people
Mhm.
don't realize they're thinking law of attraction is, oh, I'm just going to attract positive stuff. And it's like, you're always in that space of attracting to you whatever you're vibrating at. So if you don't like the results you're getting, you've got to look inside and figure out how to raise that vibration so you start attracting the good stuff that you want to you. That was a really tough one for me to overcome because it's easy to blame, right? It's easy to blame circumstances or other people or society or whatever. And yet, the moment that I took responsibility and said, whoa, whatever, the bad stuff I just attracted, I got to look at me and figure out why I did that. And that was a tough pill to swallow, but it became a huge catalyst to me taking full responsibility for myself and my life.
Yeah, I like to say like everyone has their own movie. Like I am the main character in my own movie, but everything in my movie is there because of me. But everyone else has their own movie, and they're their own character. And when I hear vibration, I used to get confused about that when I was first starting on this journey. So I like to tell people, vibration is like water. When it's fluid, it has a certain vibration. We learn that in science. When it speeds up, it turns into gas. Beyond that is, plasma or energy or whatever that is. But below that is ice, or it turns into a harder material. But your body is regulated through the emotional state. And that emotion is vibrating either really low and a negative, bad, hatred, disease.
Cesspool of
Yeah. Or
yuck.
love is like the highest vibration. So when people talk about vibration, I just like to mention that because I used to be so confused. Like, what do they mean by vibration? But yeah, your vibration literally, and they even have done science studies on, eggs and different mammals and other life like trees and stuff. There's a magnetic field around our bodies that it comes out the top and down to the bottom, and it's like this sphere, and based on your vibration is how big or small that field is. But either way, that field is like a magnet attracting to you whatever the vibration is of that emotion. So
Right.
cool. So crazy too.
It is. And when you start thinking of that, I mean, all of this is outside the realm of our vision, right? So
Yeah.
it's like we have to start tuning into that inner world and assessing, okay, am I in that high vibrating place? Am I in that place of feeling joy and happiness and peace and love and higher things? Or am I feeling guilt or shame or, apathy or depression or whatever? Because when we can assess what that is, then we can have the mindfulness to shift it.
Yeah, I think that's like, oh, that's so good. Like you have to be aware, the awareness of all the things. Like I like to say, when you're in the painting, you can't see the whole picture. So you got to pull yourself
Right.
out, and so you can see the whole thing going on. If me and you were
Exactly.
looking at
Good stuff.
if me and you were looking at something, but you're on the left side, I'm on the right side, my picture of that could be way different than yours.
Completely
So,
different perspective, right?
yeah. Which brings me
Yes.
into, you need someone, or you don't need, but it supercharges this process when you have someone else that's either gone through this process or understands the whole picture. So working with someone like yourself is so powerful. So could you dive into a little bit about now how you help people, or what you're doing now?
So what I'm focused on now, I have a couple of books that are in the works, one that will be coming out in August of 2022, and a couple after that. And I also offer programs that relate to those that, when we're talking about everything, I'm thinking, is he in my head? Has he read my book? Because there's a lot of stuff that you're talking about that are information that's in my books too. And that's the beautiful thing is there's so many people that are saying the same thing and it validates everybody. It's not like, oh, one person's saying something and one person's saying totally something different. And so I'm offering courses, a lot of online programs, books, and I'm just sort of open to the possibilities right now. I've taken a step back from doing private sessions for the most part and just focused on group events, speaking events, and those types of things. But even in me speaking to a room, I know that the vibration changes, because I'm sure everybody has felt this, where you're in a room with someone who's positive or uplifted and you just like can't get enough of them, right? And so I'm just very focused on making the biggest impact that I can right now through speaking events and books right now.
Yeah, it's so powerful. And I think I kind of feel the same way. Like one-on-one stuff just isn't so attractive anymore to me. It's like I want to reach as many people as I can. So speaking and events and groups is just so important. And I also think like the more people that join together with
Oh,
a
right?
single intention is just, it's like putting a ton of batteries together, it's like you can do
Supercharged.
stuff.
Yeah. Energy in a group becomes supercharged when you've got a group of people.
Yeah, so great. Now, if you had to take all of your books and all of your practices and all of the energy work and all the stuff you've learned, and you could distill it down into a few actionable steps that somebody could take if they're on this journey, maybe they're just beginning, what three things would you suggest to people to help them with this journey?
Good question. One of the first ones is becoming aware of your thoughts, because our thoughts, our brain goes through thousands of thoughts every single day. And very rarely do we monitor what we're thinking. And our brain is probably the worst black magic in the world. Like everybody else could be doing horrible things, but what we're saying between our ears is making a huge impact on how we feel, how we perceive the world, and how our body is reacting. So being mindful and using things like affirmations is a simple way for you to reprogram your brain, just like it got programmed in the first place. Those bite-sized little pieces of information that help you retrain your brain. Probably the second most important thing is tuning into your energy, even just taking a couple of deep breaths, tuning into your heart, closing your eyes, and just feeling your body. So many people from young ages have this disconnect between their body and what they feel, because we're taught big girls, big boys don't cry. We're told, right, all of these things not to do. Don't feel that, suppress it. Don't show what is really going on with you. So when you can start tuning into what's taking place, then you can actually start to shift that, because you become curious. Well, why is it that I feel this way? And then you can start making some adjustments. And then the third thing is your emotions, right? Like energy and motion, like you were saying, it's so important to recognize how powerful those emotions are. Something like anger, think about a time where you're cut off on the freeway and you're swearing and screaming at this person and your blood is literally boiling. It's literally flooding your body with toxins, right? Versus thinking of a time when you're watching young children play, or puppies and kitties running around, or something that's joyful, and how euphoric you feel. Like you can shift that vibration of how you feel by recognizing the emotions that you're going through and learning how to manage that energy in motion. Because when you can start mastering those things, you're mastering your inner game. And when you change that inner game, you're going to change the outer results that you get.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. And I want to tune into that, because some people, like, I feel like when I talk about this stuff, like people like, yeah, but it's just an emotion or whatever. Like we get so used to living with these different emotions. But you brought up such a good point. Like these emotions are actually scientifically proven. Like it's not just you're just talking about this. This is like a proven fact that your body releases hundreds, if not thousands, of different chemicals in your body based on your emotional state. Like cortisol, for instance, is one of the most addictive chemicals in your body. And I was addicted to cortisol. Like, I remember people would tell me something that they were doing that was like a really good thing. And for some reason, I would like snap into, oh, well, that's not going to work. And just come up with all these things that are wrong, or getting cut off in the freeway and you get angry. Like, all of a sudden, your body becomes addicted to the chemicals related to the emotions. So now you get caught in a habit of having those emotions. But what you don't realize is that's destroying your temple, your body, in
So
a
true.
slow way, like a slow process, until one day you wake up and you've got all these different diseases or problems or medications now because you're trying to mask the underlying thing, which I think it stems from emotions.
Hmm. I
Ugh.
agree. Yeah, I'd rather be addicted to serotonin and dopamine and
Yes.
those feel good neurotransmitters
Yeah.
than cortisol and adrenaline and those types of things. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my focus now.
Yeah, mine too. Where do you think that shift happens? Like, someone that's going from, okay, I become aware of my thoughts. I'm noticing that I don't like them, because this is what happened to me. And I became so frustrated. Like, I would be in the middle of a sentence, like, and catch myself, like, oh, like, like trying to unravel that
The old
addiction.
programming, yes. The beautiful thing is there's a transition that we go through. So there's the old behavior that we don't catch ourselves doing. And later we're like, oh, shoot, I just fell into that old pattern. And then there's the second piece where you catch yourself, like you just said, even though you're still frustrated, now you're mindful of it, where before it was automatic, now you're mindful of it. And once you're mindful of it, then you can shift it. And what I have found through all of this work and doing energy healing and emotional healing for 25 years is, once you heal an emotional wound, or once you get out of a pattern, it's no longer a part of your energy field. And when that happens, you don't attract the same people to you, same situations. In fact, you will literally forget that you ever behaved that way. And it's pretty fascinating to get to that place. And that's actually one of the things that always motivated me to keep pushing to heal, when I thought, oh, I just want to give up. I don't want to do this anymore. But I knew that when I pushed through and I was mindful and I healed that issue, it was gone forever. So that
So
kept me going.
crazy, right? Like, sometimes I
Yes.
look back on my old self and I'm like, I don't even remember that person. Like, it's like I hear stories sometimes of like how I used to act or what I used to do, and I'm just like, really? Like, was that me? Like,
I know. It's so true. You
uh,
become a completely different person. Your chemistry changes, your body composition changes, the way that you hold yourself changes, the way you think is different. Like, everything becomes different. And
yeah.
that's the beauty of the whole transformation.
And I believe that's how to overcome any addiction. Like, you literally
Absolutely.
have to become a person that just doesn't do that thing anymore.
Yes.
Like, and I think you're right. Like, by becoming aware of the thinking or the action or whatever it is that's going on, by becoming aware of it, now you can do something about it. And the hardest part about the change, I think I got this from Dr. Joe Dispenza, you is making a different choice than the day before. So if you can
Right.
just make
Or in the
incremental,
moment, right?
yeah, make incremental decisions, or like what I just talked about, where you catch yourself, right? Sometimes when I first started, it was a couple of days later, right? I'll be like,
Yes.
oh, I probably shouldn't have acted that way or done that or sent that email or whatever it was. But the next time that happens, I get faster. So like, then it's not a couple of days. Now it's maybe the end of the night. I'll be like, oh, okay, I'm going to do better, and then before you know it, you shorten that gap of change. And now you've become the person that just doesn't say that or do that.
I know. That's where the beauty is. That's where the transformation has happened.
Yeah. But it all starts with taking those first baby steps, becoming aware, tuning into your energy. Like, okay, what's going on now? Recognizing your emotions. And then I also believe reaching out, and being curious and asking people that have done this, like yourself, I think is a really important aspect.
Yes, it definitely shortens the gap. The learning curve to this whole process
Yeah.
is is finding the people that have done what you're looking to do and learn from their wisdom, because, you know, you can do it on your own, or you can do it faster working with somebody else.
Yeah, and grab a new perspective. Now,
Definitely.
we've kind of reached the top of the hour already. I could go on this stuff for hours.
Wow, I
love
know, right?
all of
That
it.
sounds so great.
So I'm going to ask a lightning round question here. Now I know you have some books out. So besides those, what is a book, tool, software, video, movie, something that has impacted your life that somebody could check out today?
So many great books. I love reading. It felt like when it started, I felt like I couldn't find enough books. And one of my favorites, it's actually a difficult read because it's very sciencey, is called Power versus Force by Dr. David Hawkins. And he has another book called Letting Go, which is about surrender. But his perspective, it was just like putting a period on everything, where it was like, yeah, that's exactly what I've been thinking. And here's the science to prove it. Because I was a science nerd, right? So it's like I wanted that
too.
physical, tangible kind of experimentation that he brought to the table. And there's so many other great authors out there. One that I love is The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. But there are a ton of great books. And I felt like every time I would go to the bookstore, I'd be in they call it the New Age or metaphysical section, at least last time I checked, but there'd literally be like a book that would call to me, and it would be exactly what I needed in the moment. So I encourage people to go to the library or go to a bookstore and see what pops up for you, because, you know, what works for you is going to be different than what works for everybody else. But Dr. Hawkins is a great one to check out.
Yeah, I actually I'm looking at the Letting Go book over there now, and a lot of people bring up that book, but I actually haven't heard the Power versus Force book, so I have to check that out. Yeah, love it. All right, Jana, I'm so grateful that you're on here. I just want to ask if someone is interested in having you speak, or they have maybe a corporate setting or some setting where they would love to have you come in and talk about some of these topics, where can they reach you?
Best place is my website, goddesspreneur.com. So it's like entrepreneur, but goddesspreneur.com.
All right, we'll have the links all down below, so you guys can check this out. And Jana, I can't believe it's the top of the hour, but I just want to thank you.
We could talk for hours, right? This has been so fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dylan.
Yeah, thank you so much. And guys, plug into your life. And if you're frustrated, worried, resentful, you have some type of drama going on in your life right now, I'm telling you, on the other side of that is a flower. It's a butterfly. It's a beautiful process of self-discovery. Keep going, keep striving. Love you guys. Thanks, Jana.
Thank you.